Yo, what's going on, guys? GZTV back with another video. This is the final video for like the morning segments. We have Better Call Saul. It's very confusing because Breaking Bad had a Better Call Saul episode. Now Better Call Saul has a Breaking Bad episode. This obviously was released like earlier last year, but still, it's kind of crazy. It's very confusing. Like trying to look on the web and trying to find like my notes for this. But yeah, we're going to talk about the plot and critical reception. Jesse and Walter White, obviously the highlight of this episode being introduced, that scene with them first discovering Saul and, like, getting him to work for them and all that stuff. So, in a flashback to Albuquerque in 2008, Jimmy McGill, going by the name Saul Goodman, has been kidnapped by Walter White and Jesse Pinkman and is being transported in the back of their RV, the Crystal Ship, I guess you could call it. So yeah, it's that scene from Breaking Bad. I think that literally happened in the Better Call Saul episode. After Saul recognizes a real motive, he returns to the RV and sees their methamphetamine lab. He's like, "Oh, this is what you guys do. Okay." He correctly identifies Walter as Heisenberg. Hearing about him on the streets and all this stuff, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're Heisenberg." Who is known for producing high-quality blue meth. Obviously, at the time, Walter White was creating the purest meth in the area. He was, like, the most masterful cook America's probably ever seen. Meth cook, anyway. He agrees to take Walter and Jesse on as clients. They pretty much bribe him. They're, like, pointing guns at him, digging up his grave, doing all sorts of stuff. Mike Ehrmantraut visits Mike and provides him with information about Walter, including the fact that he has cancer. Like, all these things could be liabilities. Saul is trying to take all these factors into account about Walter. He's like, okay, this guy's cancer. He's probably not going to be around much longer. Who knows how long this meth empire of his is going to last, like, after he dies, because he's just, like, the best cook anyone has ever seen. So, he doubts that even a guy like Jesse Pinkman could take up his craft, which... to an extent, he's probably wrong about that. Jesse cooked for, Jack and, what's the redhead dude's name? I can't remember. Todd. Jack, Todd, all those guys cooked for them. Mike advises Saul against working with Walter, calling him an amateur, but Saul is impressed by the quality of his meth. Walter's kind of new in the industry, so Mike's like, kind of hold back a little bit, because this guy doesn't really know what he's doing. He knows how to cook. He doesn't know how to handle the business. He doesn't know what to do when things go wrong, that sort of thing. Saul arrives at the school where Walter works to convince him to let Saul be his full-time counsel, and I think that was a scene from the show as well. On November 12, 2010, Francesca Liddy drives to a payphone in a remote location and awaits a call from Jimmy to get her money that he owed her for doing him services pretty much at his office. This is Jimmy now living as Gene Takovic in Omaha. We know that. We followed him last episode. Last episode is where we really saw Gene Takovic take full character. Francesca answers and updates Gene on events that have happened since he left Albuquerque. When he left Albuquerque, Walter White was found dead, and she mentioned Skyler White, which was interesting because after Breaking Bad ended, I always wondered what happened to Skyler. Apparently she took like a plea deal or something. She took a plea deal, kind of like Gunna did. That's not snitching though. I think Skyler deserved that. She was the victim. You got, like, when you first watch Breaking Bad, you kind of act like Walter was like the victim. That's another video, I guess. We're not talking about the Breaking Bad storyline. We're just talking about Better Call Saul, which she mentioned her, which is cool. But yeah, she tells Gene that the police seized all his assets and that she received a call from his ex-wife, Kimmy Wexler, who asked about his safety. Like, is he okay? Obviously, he's okay. He's holed up in Omaha. It's Gene Takovic now. Her mentioning Kim Wexler almost leads me to believe that they're going to have some sort of reunion, I think there might be a happy ending. There was a happy ending for Walter White. Obviously he died, but he died, like, doing what he loved. Jesse, he moved to Alaska. Like, that's a happy ending. I feel like they're going to do the same thing with Saul Goodman. Now, there was some criticisms from people, why the hell does he get a happy ending? People did not like that, but I think it's just fine, given they've went through so much in the show. And you don't expect them to have a happy ending, really. You kind of expect them to get caught, and so when they don't get caught, it's kind of like, oh, okay, that was a cool little plot twist. I don't know. Gene is taken aback and later calls Kim's workplace in Florida. However, the conversation turns argumentative, and enraged, Gene hangs up. So they continue to have problems with the relationships even like a year or two down the line. Gene convinces Jeff and Buddy to help him with another scam in which Gene targets rich single men at bars and buys them drinks. Jeff then picks them up in his taxi and offers them bottles of water laced with barbiturates, which pretty much puts you to sleep for like a very extended amount of time, like completely unconscious, not even like half asleep, like completely unconscious for the next like 4 hours. That's pretty much what a barbiturate does. So yeah, and another con. You know, Gene isn't going to end this. Even as Gene Takovic, he's not going to end it. In the cons. Once the target is home and unconscious, Buddy enters and photographs his personal and financial information, including credit cards, driver's licenses, and tax documents, which the group sells for use in identity theft schemes. So yeah. One night, Gene targets Mr. Link, a man who has cancer, and you kind of understand the actions of Buddy. Like, dude, the dude has cancer. Like, his life couldn't be going any worse. You know what I mean? Despite feeling guilty, Gene continues with the usual plan. He's like, yeah, I'm still gonna do it. You know, we know Gene is kind of like we know Gene is, I mean, obviously it's Jimmy McGill and Saul Goodman. Saul Goodman's very ruthless, so him becoming Gene, that's not going to change. He just has to live a little more low-key, you know. Buddy expresses misgivings. Now, unknown to the group, Marion witnesses Gene angrily escorting Buddy into her garage as he unsuccessfully tries to persuade Buddy to do his part. Gene fires Buddy and enlists a reluctant Jeff to help him finish stealing Link's information, and breaks into Link's house himself. And that's kind of where the episode ends. He breaks into his house himself, you know. It's kind of fucked up, honestly. You know, a lot of good reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got an 8.4 out of 10. I don't have much to say about the episode. It's pretty straightforward. Obviously, Jesse and Walter being introduced back in the series was great. This episode was introduced and broadcasted on the 1st of August, so very recent. The last 2 episodes are going to be recent as hell as well. I think every single week they dropped an episode throughout August. Yeah, 2 more episodes. Leave a like, comment, subscribe to all that stuff. I know these videos are short. I know they're kind of lackluster. I like this episode. I think the inclusion of the old Breaking Bad characters was a cool little touch. And, you know, learning about Kim Wexler and learning about Skyler White was something refreshing. Maybe that will expand as the show comes to a close and as the franchise